Welcome to the shift. It is World Series time. Look, I try to be unbiased here. I try my best to put that aside, but look, the Philadelphia Phillies are in the World Series. I didn't envision even 3 weeks ago. The guest I have on in a few minutes here will probably tell you the same thing. There's nobody in Philadelphia, nobody in baseball that could have envisioned this team in the World Series just a matter of probably 20 to 21 days ago. And here they are. We get the Phillies and the Houston Astros in the biggest win differential ever, literally. The Astros won 106 games in the regular season. The Phillies won 87. Astros are hot. They've won 7 straight. They're 7-0 in the postseason. They're looking to be, the first undefeated team, I think, to ever, be undefeated in the World Series. And here we are. The Phillies are looking to be one of the biggest teams of destiny of all time in baseball history. And to talk about this series, because this series I think is going to be fun. I think a lot of people think that the Astros are going to steamroll the Phils, but I think this series is going to be a fun series. I'm looking forward to it, of course, because my Phils are in the World Series. But today I have to bring my guy in. Of course I had to bring him on. Of course I did. There's no one else I could have gotten. It had to be David Esser from the Bullpen Blues podcast, a well-regarded baseball writer. David, I had to get you on today, man. How are you?
Francisco, I'm doing well. I'm honored to be here. We've been talking about the Phillies together probably since 2019. So it's been a ride. We've seen some not so great seasons, some okay teams, some historically bad teams over the last couple of years. We're talking about that bullpen. So it's been a long ride. Thrilled to be here. Like you said, going full homer mode today. We're talking about the Phillies in the World Series. It's a celebration at the moment.
Yeah, we get the full excuse today, man. Like no one expected that. We almost had the longest postseason drought. Thank God, us, and I'm happy for the city of Seattle because they're a good baseball town for the Seattle Mariners too. But look, man, we are a great baseball town. Yes, we love our football, but we also love our baseball, and the fans showed up when it has mattered, obviously, in the postseason. So we deserve this. We deserve this. I'm pumped. I think no matter the result here, it was obviously, and I don't really want to talk about the season too much. I really just want to talk about the series, but obviously, no matter what, this has been a successful season. I don't think anyone expected us to be in the World Series, David. So kind of, what are your thoughts, man? First off, what are your thoughts on the road to the World Series here for the Phillies? I didn't expect them. I thought it was a toss-up between them and St. Louis, and then I didn't expect them to beat the Braves. I had Braves in 4. I also had Padres in 7, and they beat the Padres pretty convincingly in 5. What's your thoughts on the road here for the Phils? They've just been hot.
Yeah, I think what it comes down to, because when I started to believe, it was after Game 1 in St. Louis when, a little bit of magic there in the 9th inning, the ball started falling the Phillies' way, and Francisco, things never fall the Phillies' way. So I got an inkling of, hey, there might be something different with this team. I think looking at things from a non-mystical point of view, putting the team of destiny stuff aside for the moment, we've been told for probably about 2 years that if the Phillies can get in, they have a team built to win in October. They have those 2 horses at the top. They finally added a couple relievers they can trust, and they have the big bats in the middle. You have guys who, with one swing, can change the course of an entire series. And we saw that a couple times this postseason. And they have those 2 pitchers at the top who, frankly, can go head-to-head with anybody in baseball, including the Astros' top 2 pitchers who are horses in their own right. I think we just finally saw it all come to fruition, where this is a team that is built to win in October. I think the issue for them has always just been getting there, but they got here. This is a team that matched up well against St. Louis. They matched up well against Atlanta. I think they were just significantly better than San Diego. I don't think that was so much of an upset at the end of the day. They were just a better baseball team. Between Schwarber, Bryce, Reese, JT, these are guys who were having big swings all series long. Again, their bullpen is finally solidified. They have a manager who's willing to be aggressive, willing to do the things that other managers aren't to win those baseball games. So I think it was just a big culmination of, after a couple of years of being told, like, hey, we're building a team for October, we just got to get there. It finally happened. Dombrowski was right. Thompson was pulling the right strings at the right times. And this is, in fact, a team that is built to win tough series in October.
Yeah, you know what? Also, I meant to pull up the receipts. You're saying here, and I think I tweeted at you within the last couple of days. You're saying Dombrowski should be celebrated. He's like the best executive ever. We know how David Esser is. We know how he reacts in the moment. But I think I remember. I need to, you know what? When I edit this, I'll have to go find it. But I think you said Dombrowski should be fired mid-season for some of those trades he made. Was that true?
You know, Francisco, believe it or not, Dombrowski knows a little bit more about baseball than I do. I know it's shocking to hear. It is shocking. I'm surprised as well. I thought I had it all figured out. But yeah, I mean, Dombrowski, quite a good year, just adding to his Hall of Fame resume. He's the man.
Of course. Yeah, that's a great point. Also, you mentioned, this team being built for October. Should fans be surprised? Not just Phillies fans, baseball fans, should they be surprised as they are? It feels like the general notion, around baseball is that it's surprising that they've made this run. Should fans be as surprised because they are built to be the type of team that gets hot and can win 10 out of 11 or 12 games? Should they be as surprised?
I'd say no. And I think if you told me that a month ago, I would say yeah, that'd be surprising. But I think now seeing this team in action, again, you kind of match it up. In terms of star power, I think roster depth is another thing. But in terms of star power, again, we're talking JT, Bryce, Kyle Schwarber, Nola Wheeler, Sir Anthony, I think you can throw in there. Jose Alvarado, I think you can start to throw in that conversation. That group of guys is better than what St. Louis had. It was better than what Atlanta had, and it was better than what San Diego had. And I think at the end of the day, as much as teams and I think a lot of baseball media these days wants to talk about kind of, that money ball mindset and playing the margins and controllable contracts. At the end of the day, it's the big names that win in October, and the Phillies have a lot of them. So I'm starting to lean no, where I just think this group of guys, this team, they're just good. So I think, yeah, all the talk of oh, they shouldn't have made the postseason, 87 wins, all that nonsense. They have been playing pretty darn good baseball the last couple of weeks. So I don't think it's just a team of destiny thing. I think the way this team is constructed, again, it was a team built for these moments. A guy like Kyle Schwarber, he's been there, done that. Nick Castellanos, he's been to the postseason before. Nolan Wheeler cementing themselves as all-time clutch pitchers in postseason history. So I'm starting to lean no, that this was just a good team that got into the playoffs and did what they were supposed to do.
Yeah, and you mentioned star power. Now, the Phillies obviously definitely have star power. You can go from Harper to JT to Nola to Wheeler to, maybe even Alvarado and, like you mentioned, Sir Anthony now being introduced to the entire baseball world now. But what the Houston Astros have, they had that. Of course, they have Verlander, Bregman, Altuve. Even Jeremy Pena has come on the scene, and he's had an incredible playoffs. The Astros have the star power, but they also have the depth. That's an understatement. They have 1 through 4, 1 through 5 starting pitching. It's unbelievable. Their bullpen has been unbelievable this postseason, and their offense, of course, has been unreal. Will that star power and what the Phils have their formula has been Nola, Wheeler, Ranger, all hands on deck, combined with the Harper and Hoskins timely hits, the star power, will that be enough against these Houston Astros who are really good?
Yeah, my roommate was asking me about the Astros yesterday, and I told him you could probably build an Astros B team, and they'd probably make the playoffs as well, because you're 100% right. This team has the star power, and they're absolutely filled to the brim with really, really good role players who a lot of them haven't had to really do much this postseason because they've coasted to every series win. They haven't stressed yet. So it's a good question. Can the Phillies star players rise to the occasion and overcome some of those depth issues? And I think, again, what we're going to have to see is another all-time great performance from a guy like Bryce Harper. We're going to need Wheeler and Nola to put in some shifts. We're going to need to probably see Alvarado and Sir Anthony stretched out to 30, 40 pitches most days. We're going to have to see guys like Rhys Hoskins and Kyle Schwarber continue to step up with the big home runs. Can they do it? Again, like your guess is as good as mine in terms of will they even get pitches to hit against this Astros team, or are they going to kind of maneuver around some of the big bats in the middle of the lineup? But I think if the Phillies are going to pull this off, I think we're going to have to see a similar type of series to what we saw in San Diego, where Schwarber is going to have to hit 3 to 4 home runs. Rhys is going to have to hit 4. Bryce Harper is going to have to hit 4. We're going to have to see a lot of guys have some World Series MVP type performances to where we get to the end of the series and it's like, who's going to win MVP? We have a couple names. I think that's what we're going to have to see.
Yeah. And also, look, I mean, the Citizens Bank Park has been rocking. Astros on the other side too. They have pretty good fans there. Their atmosphere looked pretty crazy over the last 5-6 years. Since their run here. But how much does home field play as an advantage here for both teams? Because look, the Phillies, John Smoltz said this, I think, in the Braves series in game 1, game 2, that Citizens Bank Park in the playoffs rivals the old Yankee Stadium. I think it might be even crazier. I don't know. It's looked, and David, we said this before we started this. I mean, watching on TV, I haven't been able to get down to any games. It's looked like the bank has looked like it was better than the 07 to 11 run. I might be wrong. I might have to go back and watch the old film and say, hey, maybe it is maybe the same, but it's looked unbelievable. It's looked like a jungle there. Does home field advantage play here? Does it play for the Astros? Does it play for the Phillies? Is it that much of an advantage for the Phillies? Because here at WIP and sports radio, we've been talking about it so much. Does it play as an advantage for both of these teams?
Yeah, and I love the wording you there used, because that's exactly what Castellanos says. He said it was like playing in the jungle, right? Like, it's tough to play in the jungle, which is a great quote. Yeah, I think it does. I think we saw it too with Atlanta. They got to Philly, they were spooked, man. They didn't want to be in Philly. They did not want to be out there. Spencer Strider, he had no desire to be in Philadelphia on that day where he's getting shelled. You could just see it in their body language. Again, with San Diego, they had a couple bursts of energy in them, but like every time there was a big home run from Philly, you could just see San Diego's head start to drop a little bit. So I think, yeah, I mean, obviously Philly's been perfect at home. Houston has been perfect in general. So it's like rock meets a hard place. Who's going to budge? I think in regards to playing at Houston's up there in terms of one of the better home field advantages, but it's nothing to Philly. And I think there might be a little bit of a shock to the system for those Astros players, having cruised all the way to the World Series, and they got to go to Philly for 3 straight games. And it's going to be loud, man. And these Philly fans, they're not going to be very appreciative of the whole Astros cheating scandal. Whether that happened or not, that's beside the point. That's going to be a thing. So I think home field advantage is going to play a big role, because you're right. Based off, some of my buddies who've been at the stadium, they're sending me pictures and videos. It looks like an all-time environment right now, and that's tough to play at, even for a team as good as the Astros.
Yeah. Are you? Wait. All right. So the Astros here, right? I have to ask this question because I know they talked about it on Baseball Today on John Boy, Chris Rose, and Trevor Plouffe. Going away from the Phillies for a second, I just want to talk about the Astros. And the 2017 thing, it happened. Like, there's evidence of it. It happened. They know it happened. We all know it happened. At this point, look, the Astros got back to a World Series last year. I mean, they've been to every ALCS since 2017, I think. I could be wrong on that. Do the Astros need a title to cement that 2017 season, or does it matter? Does it matter at all? Does them getting back-to-back World Series already cement that? Or do you think this team needs to win another World Series for them to cement that tainted title?
I don't think it should be tainted anymore. Like, Francisco, they're clearly good, right?
Oh,
they clearly know how to hit the ball without buzzers or cheating or whatever it is. My philosophy on that has always been that everybody was doing it. The Astros just got caught first. And the MLB had to kind of make an example of them, because I think if they were that reliant on whatever they were doing, they would have stunk afterwards, and they've only gotten better. Again, I think they were the best team in baseball by a landslide this year. everybody on that team can hit. They're churning out elite level prospects at every single turn. So to me, them continuing to make the ALCS, I think you're right. I think they've made every single ALCS since that season, and now back-to-back World Series, regardless of if they win or lose. They're pretty darn good at baseball.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. So my buddy Tom Niagara_fails on Instagram asks, what is the plan of attack, I guess, for Phillies pitchers against Altuve, Pena, and Yordan Alvarez, that's pretty much the heart of their lineup. So what do you think is the plan of attack for like a Nola, Wheeler, Ranger, anybody in that bullpen?
Yeah, that's a great question. To me, I think you got to go after the Altuves, even the Bregmans. I think the Peñas. I think those are the guys where you have to attack. I think Yordan's the one guy who can beat you with a swing at any point. I mean, we saw it in Seattle. They made one mistake to him, bang, series over. So I would say Yordan's the one guy to kind of, I don't want to say pitch around, but tread cautiously with. Whereas the other guys, I think, Altuve is not going to beat you for a big, massive homer every time he swings the bat. I think between him, Pena, Kyle Tucker, Bregman, I think you're going to have to go after those guys a little bit. And look, they might beat you once in a while. They're very good. But I think Yordan is clearly the big guy in the middle of the lineup who could crank a 450-foot homer at any time. And I'd say that's the guy to kind of work around.
Yeah. So who I guess two-part question here. So one, I guess same question for both teams. First, how do the Astros win this series if they do win this series? And then second, how do the Phillies win this series if they're able to win this series?
Yeah, Phillies, I think the key is starting pitching. Wheeler, Nola, between the both of them, they're going to pitch 4 times, collectively, right? That's 4 games where you have 2 really darn good pitchers. You gotta win those games. It's never that easy. You never just win the games where your best pitchers are going. But in theory, if you're getting 6 to 7 innings in 4 of those games from Wheeler and Nola, and they're pitching well, that's when you win. I think for the Astros, they want to utilize their depth, right? If they can get into the Phillies bullpen early and kind of out bullpen the Phillies, because the Astros clear them in terms of pitching depth by a landslide. They have starters in their bullpen who, again, would probably be in the Phillies rotation, who the Astros, they haven't even used them yet. They're just sitting there waiting. So I think for the Astros, it's about getting into those kind of longer games where you're using 6, 7 pitchers. That's when they're going to thrive. Whereas I think for the Phillies, leaning on Wheeler and Nola to give them those quality starts that they've been given all postseason, that's how the Phillies are going to win.
Obviously, I have to ask this question. I'm curious to know. Try your best, because I know you're going to a game, by the way. I know you're going to Houston, and have fun. So, series prediction here. Try your best to put that Phillies bias aside. Who wins this series? How many games?
Phillies in 6. That's what I'm going with.
Are you?
All
right.
Yeah.
Have you had this positive energy throughout the entire playoffs?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Switch, man, because I haven't. Look, I've been negative every single series. I told you. I said Cardinals in 3. I said Braves in 4. I said Padres in 7. They've lost every series. You can't do this.
I know. Well, I'm mapping it out right here. Look, okay. You split in Houston. That's the key. Right. You got to split in Houston to start. Have to. And they have a good shot. Look, they got Wheeler, Nola going into Houston. They can win one of those ball games. You come back home. Look, playing in Philly, they've been good there. They've been really good. You win 2 or 3 in Philly. You go to a game 6, and Wheeler's currently scheduled to pitch that game 6 in Houston. So I think if there's ever a chance to end it, it would be going to a game 6 with Zach Wheeler on the mound, who's been the best pitcher in baseball this postseason. To me, that's how it looks like the Phillies are trying to line it up, to have that game 6 be okay, Wheeler's on the mound. This is our shot to end it. So I think just like logistically, I think that's what the Phillies are looking to do.
Okay. I hope you're right. I'll be honest. Obviously, I had you on here, but I got to give my prediction. I have the Astros in 5. Hopefully, this run of me continuing to pick the Phillies opponents against the Phillies will continue to work, and we'll be celebrating because that will be incredible. This might be one of the biggest championships ever in Philadelphia history if they're able to do it.